Chicago drill was never just music. It was a public record of suffering, pride, rivalry, and repercussions. I feel like everyone is dying young, without hinting at anything. Stage gossip and internet tales are not what people mean when they discuss Chicago rappers who have been involved in fatal public shootings. A legend from Memphis leaves for cookies and never returns. A rapper from South Africa passes out following an altercation with competitors. 20 tragic endings, 20 rappers, and each story is more powerful than the last. XXXTentacion. People were separated by Yassé Dwayne Ricardo Onfroy. His personal life was marred by grave accusations and controversy, but his art was unvarnished, genre-bending, and emotionally devastating. Nevertheless, there was no denying XXXTentacion's influence on a generation of listeners. He had several platinum records and a devoted following that regarded his music as sacred at the age of just 20. In ways that popular rap never addressed, songs like Sad and Jocelyn Flores spoke to a youth struggling with loneliness and sadness. XXX and I were really close. XXX is carrying a duffel bag with $50,000. Not afraid. He is slain while attempting to purchase a bike. He writes to me on June 16th, "Please be careful. Keep your guard up." He passed on the following day. That's precisely what took place. After shopping for a motorcycle, X was departing Riva Motorsports in Deerfield Beach, Florida on June 18, 2018. Two armed men approached him as he was seated in his BMW, robbed him of $50, left a Louis Vuitton bag empty, then repeatedly shot him. At the age of 20, he was declared dead at a neighboring hospital. Although the murderers were apprehended, put on trial, and found guilty, the loss symbolized a larger issue: a young musician navigating the industry without safety or caution in a field that profits from risk but offers no safety net. King Von. Since Chief Keef opened the drill doors, Davon Daquan Bennett, often known as King Von, has been Chicago's most captivating storyteller. Von did more than merely rap about life on the streets. He told it as if it were a film, complete with characters, plot twists, and repercussions. You could feel yourself riding shotgun through every situation he depicted in songs like Crazy Story. Von had the talent, the cosign, and the expanding fan following to become one of the greatest names in the drill after leaving Lil Durk's OTF camp. On November 6, 2020, Von's entourage and a gang connected to rapper Quando Rondo got into a fight outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. Gunfire broke out as the altercation intensified. In the confusion, Von was shot and killed. His age was 26. During the altercation, an off-duty police officer who was manning security at the venue also fired rounds. Lul Tim, Quando Rondo's associate, was charged in relation to the shooting. Drill culture has continued this cycle, and Von's passing became just one more episode. Actual feuds were recorded in music, intensified online, and ended with gunfire in parking lots. The time was not there, but the talent was. Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke, played by Bashar Baraka Jackson, was Brooklyn's next big thing. With songs like Welcome to the Party and Dior, he had already laid the foundation for Brooklyn drill at the age of 20. For his age, his voice was incredibly deep. His presence was dominating, and the UK drill influence production he rapped around was altering the entire sound of New York hip-hop. 50 Cent cosigns, a major label deal is in place, and a debut album is in the works. Pop Smoke's music was traveling at the speed of light. Pop Smoke was living at a rented home in the Hollywood Hills on February 19, 2020. According to reports, a photo he shared on social media revealed the address of the property. He was shot during a heist by 4 individuals who broke into the house early in the morning. In the age of 20, he passed away in Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. In the end, it was determined that the suspects were teens. All of this could have been avoided. A single Instagram post revealed the location of a young man to the entire world. Pop Smoke's passing made the industry face how social media exposure generates real-world targets, particularly for up-and-coming musicians who haven't yet realized that visibility can be both a benefit and a risk. FBG Ducks. The loss of FBG Duck was shocking in a different way. One of the busiest and wealthiest parts of Chicago, the Gold Coast, is where he was assassinated in broad daylight. That's what gave the story its eerie quality. Duck wasn't concealed by a personal conflict or a back alley. The fact that the killing occurred during the day demonstrated how far Chicago drill beefs may go beyond their original areas. He was in a public retail area when the gunman attacked. KTS strays. Even the courtroom and jail system could not ensure safety, as demonstrated by KTS Dre's case. Shortly after being released from Cook County Jail, he was shot. For followers of Chicago street politics, the incident served as yet another reminder that long-standing disputes don't necessarily cease when someone is imprisoned or freed. There are moments when danger lurks outside the door, and Dre's passing added to the city's lengthy history of public reprisals. Mellow Bucks. Mellow Bucks' release party shooting perspective is another. This was about a party related to Mellow's music turning into a lethal public event, not about her being slain. Numerous people were shot following a release party in Chicago's River North neighborhood. The incident demonstrated how even celebrations of music can turn violent when there are neighboring street tensions. They belonged to the same block. Shakur Tupac. Shakur Tupac. It would be impossible to discuss rappers smoking without mentioning the biggest name in hip-hop history. In addition to being a rapper, Tupac Amaru Shakur was also an actor, a poet, a revolutionary, and the voice of a generation that didn't feel heard. Pac progressed at a rate that the industry was unable to match, from his early days with Digital Underground to becoming the most successful solo artist the West Coast had ever seen.
When I was out there by myself, with nowhere to stay and no money.
Everything he became was fashioned by that hunger. However, on September 7, 1996, Tupac was riding in a black BMW driven by Suge Knight when a white Cadillac drew up at a red light and started shooting after he had attended the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. For blows were delivered to him. At the age of barely 25, he survived for 6 days at University Medical Center before dying on September 13th. Although the case has received more attention in recent years, his murder is still officially unsolved. Pac had already survived 5 gunshot wounds in 1994, but the second encounter with the streets prevented him from leaving. Additionally, the departure created a hole in hip-hop music that hasn't been replaced yet. The notorious B.I.G. The East Coast lost its ruler 6 months after Tupac was killed. Biggie Smalls, Christopher George Latour Wallace, and the notorious B.I.G.R. The best storyteller Brooklyn has ever produced was Frank White. 2 of the most significant records in rap history are his posthumous double LP Life After Death and his debut album Ready to Die. Big's flow was unstoppable, buttery, and leisurely on the outside, yet incredibly precise. Biggie attended the Soul Train Music Awards in Los Angeles on March 9, 1997. A dark-colored Chevrolet Impala drove up beside his SUV at a red light on Wilshire Boulevard, following an after-party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. The motorist fired several bullets while rolling down the window. Biggie was declared dead at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center after being struck 4 times. He was only 24. His murder became the most contentious unsolved case in hip-hop history due to the timing, which occurred immediately after Pac's death in the midst of the East Coast-West Coast conflict. The world lost 2 of its finest MCs in less than a year, and the wound has never healed, whether it was due to internal politics, retaliation, or something else entirely. Big L. Although Biggie and Tupac dominated the news, Harlem had a prodigy whose prose was arguably sharper than both of. Lamont Coleman. Known as Big L, he was a lyrical surgeon with multisyllabic rhyme schemes, punchlines, and wordplay that were years ahead of their time. As a part of the renowned Diggin' in the Crates crew, he contributed to making 139th Street one of the most significant blocks in rap history. Big L was standing on his own street in Harlem at the intersection of 139th and Lenox Avenue on February 15, 1999, when a car drew up and someone inside started fire. 9 blows were delivered to his chest and face. At the age of 24, he was declared dead at Harlem Hospital Center. It was thought that the gunman was involved in a fight with Big L's brother. It has nothing to do with rap. It had nothing to do with celebrity. For a man who had grown up on those same corners, it was the streets catching up to him. The worst aspect was that Big L was about to blow out on a national scale. There were plans for a second album. His musical talent had been publicly acknowledged by Jay-Z and others. Before the world had a chance to see him shine, Harlem lost its crown jewel. But every lyricist who takes the stage now is still impacted by the legacy he created in those brief years. Big Pun. Not all of the rappers on this list were killed by gunshots. Some were killed by the physical damage that this way of life causes. And Christopher Lee Rios, better known as Big Pun, is the best person to embody that harsh reality. His song Twins and album Capital Punishment demonstrated that Latinos could dominate the mainstream rap game at the top level. He was the first solo Latin rapper to reach platinum status. He was a lyrical monster from the Bronx. However, Big Pun struggled with significant obesity throughout his career. He weighed close to 700 pounds at his heaviest. His respiration, movement, and performance were all impacted by his weight. Big Pun had a severe heart attack at a hotel in White Plains, New York, on February 7, 2000. He was only 28. The weight was simply too much for his physique to handle. Tragically, no one could stop it even though everyone in his immediate vicinity saw it coming. Pun's passing served as a wake-up call regarding health in a hip-hop scene, where poor nutrition, stress, and a lack of access to healthcare kill people just as brutally as gunshots. His story serves as a reminder that the grind kills from the inside out, yet his legacy as an MC is indestructible. Jam Master Jay. Run DMC was more than just a band. They created a link between mainstream America and hip-hop. And the guy behind those turntables, the one keeping the beat steady while Run and D scratched the records. MC Jam Master Jay, Jason William Mizell, was a rock star on the microphone. Walk This Way, the Adidas deal, and the hip-hop crossover model wouldn't exist without him. Two males entered Jay's recording studio on Merrick Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens, on October 30, 2002. He was shot in the head at close range by one of them as they approached. His age was 37. One of the most annoying cold cases in hip-hop, the case remained unsolved for more than 20 years. Two people weren't charged until 2020, and the trial didn't conclude for years. However, for those who grew up watching Run DMC break down boundaries, Jay's murder served as evidence that even the most cherished individuals in this society were vulnerable. He didn't have any beefs. He wasn't using blocks to post. They managed to get him even though he was in his own studio. That's the reality of this game. MC Deleste. We had to take it abroad since there isn't a single well-documented instance of a rapper getting smoked in the middle of a performance in America. It took place in Campinas, São Paulo, Brazil. On July 6, 2013, Daniel Pedreira Sena Pellegrin, also known as MC Deleste, was a 20-year-old emerging star in the Brazilian funk paulista scene. He was performing at a free performance in front of roughly 40 people when he was shot twice by members of the crowd. His abdomen was struck by the second round. Early the following morning, he passed away. The shooter was regarded by police as a skilled marksman. According to reports, a wasted bullet matched military police ammo. No arrests were ever made, despite more than 100 witness testimony and footage from every aspect. In 3 years, it was the 7th unsolved murder of an MC in the São Paulo area. The most indisputable on-stage murder in rap history is still Deleste's death. Furthermore, the fact that it occurred in front of thousands of people with no accountability speaks something about how the system handles favela's artists. Heavy D. One of the most captivating MCs of the late 1980s and early 1990s was Dwight Arrington Myers, Heavy D, who came from the streets of Mount Vernon, New York. He contributed a cheerful, fluid, and unquestionably groovy spirit to hip-hop as the frontman of Heavy D and the Boys. He transitioned from the hip-hop scene to pop audiences across the globe with hits like Now That We Found Love. Additionally, his pseudonym, The Overweight Lover, became one of the most well-known in the game. After collapsing outside his Beverly Hills home on November 8, 2011, Heavy D was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was declared dead at the age of 44. A pulmonary embolism, a blood clot that reached his lungs, was the cause. He had just returned from a performance at the BET Hip Hop Awards a few weeks prior, where he reaffirmed his legendary status. No one anticipated this. He was active, appeared healthy, and was performing. However, a blood clot doesn't make an announcement. It simply strikes. One of the most cherished figures in hip-hop was suddenly gone. The silent health catastrophe that claims too many lives too soon is the cause, not violence. DMX. Earl Simmons channeled his pain rather than rapping about it. No one before or since has ever been as raw as DMX. X was the most emotionally charged artist hip-hop has ever produced. From Rough Riders' anthem to Party Up, from his debut It's Dark and Hell is Hot to the prayer-filled outros that depicted a man struggling with God and demons at the same time. Additionally, he was the only musician in history to have his first 5 albums debut at the top of the Billboard 200. However, addiction shaped DMX's life. He spent decades publicly battling substance abuse. His body and psyche were devastated by crack cocaine and other narcotics. Even if his music saved millions of lives, the man's numerous overdoses, hospital stays, and legal run-ins revealed that he was unable to overcome his afflictions. An suspected drug overdose caused DMX to have a heart attack at his White Plains, New York, home on April 2, 2021. At the age of 50, he was put on life support and died on April 9. The tragedy is that everyone who loved X witnessed everything happen in slow motion and was helpless to stop it. The streets did not take X, rather, his own struggles did. Coolio. You recognize that voice if you grew up in the 1990s. Leon Ivy Jr., an artist. Gangsta's Paradise, one of the most famous rap songs ever recorded, was given to the world by Coolio. That song went well beyond hip-hop. It was a Grammy-winning, chart-topping, and culturally iconic record that demonstrated to the world the poetry and power of street rap. After that hit, Coolio had a multi-decade career that included foreign tours, acting appearances, cookery shows, albums, and more. By remaining true to himself, he remained relevant. Coolio was at a friend's house in Los Angeles on September 28, 2022, when he went to the restroom and never returned. His friend discovered him unconscious on the ground. At the age of 59, he was declared deceased. Atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, which causes hardened arteries and reduced blood flow, was the official cause. This condition affects a startling number of hip-hop musicians after they reach middle age. There was no drama or foul play, just a heart that had been slowly failing for years while Coolio continued to tour, perform, and support the culture. His departure served as a reminder to the world that the first generation of hip-hop musicians is getting older and that there is just not enough health infrastructure to support them. However, hip-hop was by no means responsible for the violence. Nipsey Hussle. There was more to Ermia's Joseph Askedom than just rapping. He worked as a community architect, building his Marathon apparel company, investing in his Crenshaw community, establishing STEM centers for children, and demonstrating that a from Slauson could become a respectable businessman without selling out. Nipsey Hussle has been working independently for more than 10 years. Victory Lap, his 2018 Grammy-nominated record, was the result of years of preparation. Everything was falling into place. Nipsey was standing outside his Marathon apparel store on Slauson Avenue in South LA on March 31, 2019, when he was shot multiple times at close range by Eric Holder, a man he knew from the neighborhood. Nipsey was 33. Nipsey confronted Holder about snitching rumors earlier that day, which is said to have been the motivation. Holder came back brandishing a gun. From the streets of Los Angeles to the corridors of government, the murder caused a stir. Athletes, artists, and city officials all lamented a man who was doing everything right yet was still abducted. Although his death proved to be a tragic reality, his legacy of ownership, community investment, and self-determination endures. The streets don't always abandon you, but you can leave them. Young Dolph. Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., also known as Young Dolph, was a member of Memphis royalty. Self-reliant to the core, he declined big label offers and established Paper Route Empire as a dominant force on his own terms. His presence in Memphis was based on genuine community love, and his music was a celebration of self-made achievement. Purchasing Thanksgiving turkeys, patronizing nearby companies, and being present.
Of what we know so far. So all we currently know is that Young Dolph went to go purchase some cookies from Makeda's Butter Cookies, a local bakery within the city.
Around 1 p.m. on November 17, 2021, Dolph entered that bakery and was immediately shot to death. His age was 36.
Bro, they didn't kill Young Dog, bro. What the fuck? Bro, ain't no way these folks just killed Dog.
There was terrifying testimony during the trial. On the stand, Cornelius Smith acknowledged his involvement.
First guy out of the car, who's that?
It's me.
That's you? Which one of the guns do you have?
On surveillance film, a cold matter-of-fact man identifies himself as having contributed to the death of another man due to a long-standing grudge stemming from street politics in Memphis. Dolph's journey ended in that bakery on Airways Boulevard, even though he had previously survived being shot and having his SUV hit more than 100 times. Tragically the Ruler. The most distinctive musical voice in Los Angeles was that of Daryl Caldwell, Tragically the Ruler. No one sounded like Tragically, that twitchy cadence, that frantic flow, that South Central fire. He was meant to be leveling up after surviving the legal system and winning a murder case in court. He performed with Snoop Dogg and 50 Cent at the Once Upon a Time in LA concert at Stadium on December 18, 2021. However, a huge altercation involving 40 to 60 people broke out backstage just minutes before his performance. Tragically was stabbed in the neck during that mayhem. Before paramedics could save him, he bled out.
Draco, you stood on your business like a man. You was fighting. You didn't see the knife cuz on 6, so it was a terrible night in LA. You get what I'm saying? But at least he stood on what he stood on and he went out.
Later, his family filed a lawsuit against Live Nation, claiming that security lapses might have given assailants access backstage. There were never any arrests made public. Tragically didn't show up for his performance that evening. Just a few feet from the stage where his name was on the lineup, he was killed. A man who made it through court but failed to make it through a music festival. For some who live in Los Angeles, the irony in the song still stings.